I wish you guys the best with your Yum Yum podcast.
Yum, yum. Hi, Ryan.
Hello, Rachel.
How are you?
I'm doing very well. How about yourself?
You know.
What was that? Sorry? You're what? Sorry, you're feeling cutesy. Yeah, this episode made you feel real cutesy. Yeah. This is a state of mind I'm in too, feeling real cutesy. But
You know,
yeah,
we're just having fun with our gal pals.
we're just having fun with the gal pals. They're just gals who are pals. You have to be some gal pals when one of you is pregnant. That's just the rules. That's just the rules.
You know, you need a support network.
Yeah, like Torture. Torture's a nice support network.
Yeah.
You know, your different tools and your different organs that you remove from your
it
subject.
It also gives her a sense of purpose and a specific kind of joy and control, which is very important. You want to make informed choices
When
you're going through that stage of life.
Today, people, we're not here to talk about Star Trek, although everything Rachel just said could be applied to Starfleet Academy. The character of Sam just doing all of those things to, I don't know, Caleb. I had to pull someone's name out of the hat. His name floated up there.
Yeah. He's meant to be the protagonist, so
But Rachel, no.
Anyway,
we're here to talk
not
about...
We're here to talk about Killjoys. We watched this episode, Heist Baby. If you're interested in watching that in full, you gotta be over on the Patreon.
Or on our YouTube channel, we have...
I said in full.
Oh, in full, yes. And on our
In
YouTube
full's
channel...
only Patreon, but
yes.
you do get the majority of it if you go over to YouTube.
Yes. On our YouTube, you can find edited down versions of our reactions to these episodes. You get to see Rachel's eyes go wide and she points at the screen and go, "Is that who I think it is?" And I say, "Yes, it's Pre." He's wearing different makeup this episode.
I know Pre.
I know.
I know Pre and I know Yum Yum.
Ah, my favorite character.
No.
Oh.
No.
What's Yum Yum?
Yum Yum is an essence that we aim to extract from the media that we discuss for our podcast. And it is so named because of Star Trek Discovery, where a individual performed by an actress who does not meet most of the qualifications of being called a character is offered an opportunity to go murder a bunch of people. Well, actually, no, I say a bunch of people. She does end up killing a bunch of people, but it's in order to destroy the current antagonist. Not even
to make him scream.
Long.
To make him scream. That's what they want to do.
It's like, hey, you want to go kill this guy? And her response is, yum yum.
Rachel, that was a beautiful summary of that. Could you please... I don't know. Is there a way to relate it to the episode of Killjoys that we watched today? Is there like a scene almost verbatim like that, except for they don't have Dulcea say yum yum in reply to Anila asking if they want to make Gander scream? Yeah. This episode had that. This episode has the yum yum moment. Yeah.
Like,
this
you
was this
also
episode.
say often that she licked her lips and swung her hair back and sexily said yum yum, and not all of those things are true, so I don't know if I can believe you.
She flips her hair back. I don't know. She doesn't always sway it back, but
swish.
This episode of Killjoys had a scene almost identical to the yum yum moment, but no silly reply from Dulcea. And to put in context, this episode came out first. So it didn't have the road to go down, and it wasn't brave enough to lay down that road. It had to wait for Star Trek Discovery to do that, but an almost identical scene. But Heist Baby, very big episode. And not only is it a big episode, Rachel, for me, this was a very personal episode, because I am coming at Killjoys from a rewatch perspective, and you aren't. This is your first time round. So all of this is new for you, and this is a revisit for me. And this was the first episode of Killjoys that I saw that was a new episode. I watched this show, and the first 3 seasons, or majority of the first 3 seasons, were out. And so I was catching up bit by bit, and by the time I got to this episode, it had dropped that very week. It was a new episode. So from this point on, I had to go week to week, year to year, like everyone else. And I remember that very vividly, because this episode is pretty wacky, to say the least. And I have a summary here, Rachel, for Heist Baby. And I made it a very special summary for Heist Baby, because it's a very special episode.
Okay, let's see how many meanwhiles he drops in this.
The war against the Hullen goes to a new level. That's right. Beyond the show itself, to the writer's room, and the production itself. For Julie Puckrin and April Mullen battle out over the tone of this episode. We'll come back to those names later.
No, meanwhile.
Meanwhile, we
What?
laughed our asses off in the reaction to this. No. I wanted to go outside the box there, because this is one of those episodes. It's about more than the episode itself. It's about why this episode is like this and how it is this way. But we will get there. We will get there, because we have a few things first, a few pieces of housekeeping to do. Yum Yum, you didn't mention in your beautiful breakdown of it. It's a funny scene. It's very funny. We all have a laugh. I'm laughing right now because you're smiling so happily, thinking about it. But this episode,
you can hear the smile.
You can
in
hear
my
the smile.
voice.
You can hear the smile in her voice. Every other time you hear her voice, it's her frowning. So this is her happy voice. But Rachel, Killjoys, we like to keep track of the moments that make us laugh, and you have yours, and it better be what it was that happened, because we always like to say,
just
check out the reactions to episodes, but please
just say it.
Check out the reactions to this episode, because I don't think Rachel has ever lost it as hard as she did with this.
Just say it for me, because I don't.
No, go on, Rachel, please. I can't. I'm sorry. What was that?
Johnny.
What was that? Johnny? I heard Johnny. I'm a wife whisperer. So Johnny, yes, Johnny laughed. Johnny did what, Rachel? What did Johnny do? No, you need to say it with words. You need to say it with words. It's fun for me to see you do visual description, but this is a podcast where we do it with audio. So what did Johnny do? Did he do something like a little rapscallion? Okay. Was it a scene with Davin? Okay, no. Rachel's saying no.
Royal?
Yeah. Oh, the Royal. Yeah. Was it at the Royal? Yeah. Okay, so Johnny was at the Royal. Or what did he say? Some funny line? Oh, was it a funny line? He said. Oh, did he do something funny? Oh, that Aaron Ashmore, he's a bit of a...
Something that I just found really funny. It's not even that funny, but...
I mean, it is very funny, but it's funnier that you're losing it so much at this. You know? He goes up to the guy. A guy. What a guy.
Dutch fails to hit on him.
Dutch fails to hit on the guy?
And the guy.
I guess he's gay.
Mm-hmm. So they said Johnny.
Well, I'll correct you. Johnny sends himself.
Johnny.
And Johnny does what? What does Johnny try to do to win this man's attention? What's that, sorry? Opens, yes. Yeah, opens up. He opens up to him. He says, I've realized my feelings for you. I'm a gay man now. My character of Johnny Jacoby is gay now. Is this what he does? He opens up in that way? No? Okay. He opens up his what, Rachel?
His shirt.
His what?
His shirt.
His shirt.
And kind of fluffs up his chest hair.
Yes, he fluffs up his chest hair. Yes, so Rachel, as you can tell, lost it and is losing it still at the payoff. The payoff for seasons long of us wondering when are they going to show Johnny's chest hair. And the answer is to see if he can get the sexual attention of a man that they need to swindle. And he opens that shirt up, and Aaron Ashmore plays with the chest hair there. He puffs it out, he's showing it off, and the guy's not interested. What he's interested in is guns, and that's what Davin's good for. And when I say guns, I mean actual guns, not Luke McFarlane's arms, not those guns. I mean, who isn't interested in those? But my yum yum moment was not, it was watching Rachel lose her mind at that, and even right now. But my yum yum moment is very simple. There were so many great lines in this episode. The STD of villains is up there, but it had to do with a certain line delivery, which was Jelko is back in the show. He came back for this episode, and it was so rich and beautiful to hear another British accent again. And him robbing these miners and just saying this very posh, jolly British accent, I do believe we're robbing you. This is a robbery.
This is a robbery.
I love it. I love it. It's just so pompous and coy.
That's Jelko.
And that's Jelko. He's the little fascist guy who's just like, I do believe I'm torturing you. Oh, I do believe this is what they call a robbery.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. This is a robbery.
You have a frown on your face because I'm seeing that all the characters' genitals are intact at the end of this episode. No one got kicked in them.
Not shot.
Not even a cunt punt.
Nope. It's been over a season. We're getting awfully close to it being 20 episodes.
Getting to the halfway point of the show in terms of mountage of episodes. So think about that for a little bit on your mind.
Yeah, I wish I didn't make this a thing. Well, I did.
But you did. And I also
committed. Look, you are being rewarded for your commitment, though.
I didn't make this a thing. They made it a thing. They made it a thing that every episode almost has the word bitch be dropped. And Heist Baby, you can tell even by the title and my humorous description, is quite off the chain. This episode is a lot. Do you think this episode had a lot of bitches, though?
I think it had an average amount of bitches.
How many? What's your number?
Oh, 2.
No.
How many?
Double that. 4 bitches were dropped in this episode. A good outing, but not the highest. But it is a good outing because this particular production, this particular episode was just mind-boggling. Heist Baby is directed by April Mullen, who directed Heart-Shaped Box last season. A very respectable episode, a big episode, a Michelle Lovretta written episode. That was the one with Sabine and dealing with her becoming human again, if only momentarily. And the episode, that one was directed quite well. It wasn't the most standout, but there was a lot of artistry on display, and it was very mannered. And that there is here in this episode too. But something that stood out to me in this, and it stood out to you, is masterful transitions. Really creative, really thoughtful, really stylish transition shots of emphasizing on one object in the scene and now it's transformed into a similar object in another scene. One of the great examples is we zoom in on Dutch's arm and we zoom out and it's now Anila's arm. And that was just really, really fun stuff. That's the type of thing that you get to play with when you have a double in your show. So that really stood out to me. What about you? We've talked about this director before. Her past in terms of her career has been a lot of movies, a lot of kind of horror, schlocky comedies as well. But what did you think of her style in this particular one?
I thought that it worked well. Like, the visual style is interesting. It is compelling. But it is the contrast between that and the writing that ends up being like, wait, what? Okay, what exactly are you trying to make me feel here? Because I feel like the visuals is telling one thing and the words are telling another.
Julie Puckrin is the writer. I mentioned her earlier as well in my description.
So horny.
She's new. She's a new writer. But this won't be her last. This is one of 3 scripts that she writes for the show. And she is a new presence. And you said it, horny. But not horny in the way of getting the characters to get it on or having the characters take their clothes off, but humor. A lot of the humor is a lot of just jokes about sex stuff. Ass to mouth was mentioned a few times. Vibrators, dildos, so many kind of raunchy humor was implemented here. But does she have a background in this? What's her deal as a writer? So she's new here. She is a consulting producer or an executive producer for Killjoys, starting up in season 3 and will be here for a good portion of the show going forward. So she will be a presence.
She's the creator of SkyMed, which is a TV show that's about a medical team that works on airplanes.
Their helicopter. They fly out to deal with people in
I
like
wanted to say
far-away
flying
places.
doctors, and then I
They're
was
flying
like,
doctors.
is that...
They're flying doctors, yeah.
I was like, is that a specific Australian thing?
Do you know anything about SkyMed?
No.
So she created that show. It's still an ongoing show or just recently finished.
Yeah, I think it said that it was like 2022 to 2025.
And she wrote a majority of the episodes, not just created, but wrote a majority of it. But there is an important connection here.
Who's in it?
Let me tell you the character. And let me tell you the character and you guess
I want it to be
who
Pri.
it could be. So, the character that she has in this show called SkyMed, that is played by someone in Killjoys. This character is, of course, a pilot. They're a mentor figure. They are, as labeled on her Instagram, a rascal.
Ooh.
And their character's name is Weezer. Wheezer. They're a bit older, but a bit silly. Because the cast all like young 20-somethings, but this person's a little bit older. Who could it be? Who could be the rascal mentor pilot guy?
So who called them a rascal?
The creator of the show. Oh, this writer, Julie Puckrin.
I am going to guess Hills.
Wow. No. Not Hills. Someone who's in the show Killjoys currently. Someone that's in this episode of Killjoys. Someone that, is a bit of a rascal.
Well, I said Pri to start with before you even did the description.
It's not Pri.
And Jelko comes to mind, but is it him?
No.
Do I get another guess? Or I've guessed 3.
It's Aaron Ashmore. It's Johnny.
Oh,
He's the slightly older, rascal smart-mouth pilot who's a mentor to them. Yeah, it's an Aaron Ashmore role. This is what he does now, and I love that for him. I'm glad that he's and he's called Weezer, Rachel. Of course, it's him. So, do you think SkyMed and Nurses and the detective show she worked on and on called Motive, which, by the way, Motive, hilarious show in which it's about a bunch of cops in Toronto having to catch serial killers, and I don't know why it's funny to me to believe that Toronto is just overrun with serial killers that we need to catch.
Yeah,
it's just a funny idea. I don't know why. It's just a funny idea to
so
me.
many serial killers in one location.
I mean, it's a city. So I guess you got to get them.
Yeah, but all at the same time?
This writer's work is very much dealing with ensemble casts.
Yeah, so it makes sense that they would bring her in for this show because we have our central trio, but we also have a broader cast of characters. But her tone is... It doesn't meld very well with the needs of this script. And it feels like this episode is working against itself at various points because it goes really hard into what it's doing in a given moment, but then will so quickly shift gears into being all in on something else.
Short attention span.
Yeah.
But it's not like those threads suddenly disappear. They just wrap up quicker.
So it just gets really messy.
We make...
But it's not convoluted. It's a very strange problem that I'm trying my best to explain.
It's hard to process because this episode is an assault on all fronts. This is very crude. Oh, we've said Killjoys is crude, so what's new about that? It's very juvenile. Well, we've said Killjoys is juvenile, so what's new about this? It's done to such an aggressive degree. Like, this episode is...
It's an assault.
It's an assault. It's an attack. It is grabbing you, and it is being so brash. It's being so aggressive. And just to talk about, like, our thoughts on the episode, it's hard to go past the writing in terms specifically of tone, because when it comes to the plot and the themes and the character stuff, those are so far back because of the tone. Like, the plot of this episode, the plots of them are fine, very satisfying. They're not that confusing. They're not overwrought. They're very simple. Like, we have to do a heist job, and Anila is having to find Dulcea. We get to the ends of those, and they're very satisfying, but it's hard to appreciate that because of everything else. Yes, what they're saying. Like, it's what they're saying and how they're saying it.
Can you and Zeph nerd gang some giant speaker unit for it?
Well, amplifier's not a problem. The problem is locating a giant sonic agitator. That is a specialty item.
You need a giant vibrator.
For science.
The director is bringing their A game. They are doing their fucking job. They're going out on a limb. They're doing it with style, with grace, with ease. But the script is not earning it. So you feel like they're battling each other. Like, this is an episode where almost you want a director to give this more of a schlock feel to it, to make it cheaper feeling, to make it feel less elegant. But the director is doing their fucking job. They're saying, okay, let's use these locations. Let's get these actors to give brilliant performances. Let's use the camera. Like, let's be creative. And we commend that. You know, don't we always? We always commend this. But in a weird way, it's a detriment to this episode because of what the script is requiring is so different to what is being given to us through this direction.
And it's something that it felt much easier to explain and illustrate and respond to when we were watching the episode, because it is sort of best shown through the moment to moment and the scene transitions from each other. Because we highlighted the director's use of film language, particularly with the transitions. So, like, those are interesting. But if you stop and think about the content of one scene that is now transitioning into another, then it's like, wait, what?
But I want to argue against that because the visual language is coherent. It does make sense, and with all of the
visuals make sense. And then, but if you think about the content of the two scenes, what's being said, what's happening in those two scenes, it's often jarring and not in a way where it feels like it's contrast. Like the example that you use with Dutch's arm, right?
Yes.
Dutch's arm turning into Anila's arm. Like that is a clear, like we're drawing the comparison. We're using the fact that we have doubles. It's Dutch's arm is being used in this context, and then Anila's is being used for violence, which reflects their characterization.
In this moment, yeah.
But then others, it just is like, wait, okay, so we're done with that now, and we're on to this.
Yeah, this is the battle. This is the battle between script and direction. It comes across to me that April Mullen got this script, read it, and I can imagine this. I don't know this to be true, but I imagine she read it and just went, okay.
How can I make this work?
I've got to elevate this. And that's her job. It's to make it better. And that's, I have no, like, at the end of the day, it's not the director's fault. It is the script's fault. At the end of the day, it all comes back down to this. And yet, this was an entertaining episode. We had fun. There was lots of thought-provoking things, but it's the frequency of the randomness of it. There's lots of random stuff. It would be easier
if it was just bad.
Yeah. Or if it was just stupid.
Or if it was just good.
Yeah, that too.
Like, that would be nice. It would be nice if it was just good. Because it's
such
not
a pendulum
like
swing.
It's not any one of these things, any one scene, any one moment that you go, oh, that doesn't work. It doesn't feel like it's meant to be a single thing.
And to give even great context to this, the only two reviews on IMDb, one from when this episode aired and another one from 2019, both echoed this. The one from the time, not a bad episode, not bad episode, but with some lines written by a 12-year-old. That's the title. And then the second review is echoing that, obviously written by someone channeling a 12-year-old. There is a certain type of humor that Killjoys has. And it has been very juvenile, has been very silly. We've even talked about this recently, in which it's like comedy is one of the primary genres of this show, but we would never say it's clever comedy, but it's better than this type of comedy. And here's the thing, there's some great lines here. There's some great thought-provoking lines. Like one of my favorite lines of the show is in this episode, which is that Davin is my right-hand man. And then Johnny says, hey, I'm right here. And Dutch says, you're my left hand, closer to my heart. And it's such a great line. It's such a great encapsulation of Team Awesome Force. Like, wow, they see one another and how Dutch sees them. And it's also just a great way of covering her ass in that moment. But it's like, that's one of the greatest lines that this show has had. It's so on point. But then you get all of these other things like ass to mouth stuff said in there. Lots of dildo talk. It's lots of just
a lot of it's
talk.
On Johnny too.
Oh yeah, because he's the funny guy.
Yeah, but they do. But when I think of those sort of dumb lines, I think of them coming from Davin.
Oh yeah, he's had a lot of those over the course of the show, and we've had this before though, which is some writers come in and they know the character archetypes. And so Johnny being the funny guy means he does get lumped with some strange lines of dialogue throughout the show, because some writers don't know the level of what, in quotations, funny guy means, so they go overboard with it to rein it in, to go into the episode more proper itself. It's divided up pretty neatly. We have the Neela stuff and we have the Team Awesome Force stuff. Mm-hmm. That's it. We're not spending time with Fancy. We're not spending time over here doing stuff with Turin. We're not going over to Pre. Like,
we're not
those
checking
characters will
in
show
on
up.
this or that. But we have all of our people together, which is something that I find interesting with the Team Awesome Force stuff. Like, we see the War Council.
But then on Anila's side, it's that everyone's separated off.
Yes.
So
and
her forcing them to be back in the group, in
sort
the
of
party.
in contrast to the way that it has been for the majority of this season, where Team Awesome Force is fractured and Anila is joint and linked in through Gander, through Dulcea, through the Green.
Mm-hmm.
And she is disconnected and desperate in this episode. And it's interesting to see the way that Anila deals with being sort of removed from her source of power, which we are also coming to see is not hers.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like she has a power with the Green, but she's not the lady, and we're beginning to feel the depth of that. And like I am coming from a first time watch.
With Neela, we've seen her be in charge. We've seen her be powerful, but now all of that is taken away from her, but she's enforcing it nonetheless. Gander is here so we can get the information out of Gander of where to find Dulcea, but he refuses to tell. No matter how much torture he is put through, no matter how much threat of death he is put through, he's
so
not.
many numbers and counting in this episode.
Oh, and so much sexual innuendo. Oh, if that's just foreplay, all of that type of talk. And Neela has shown herself to be cunning, shown herself to be oh so smart, but also oh so dumb and violent and reckless. And a majority of this episode is her just torturing Gander, or the implication of torturing Gander, and not getting anywhere. And what did you feel about that? And then the eventual reveal that Gander gives of why she isn't able to just find Dulcea the easier way, because she's afraid of the repercussions of that.
Yeah, it's interesting to... It's interesting to get... It's more questions. Like, I want to say it's interesting to get answers, but it's barely even answers about it. It's just like, well, no, we get confirmation that the lady is in the Green and wants out.
Trapped in there.
And we kind of got that before, but now it's introducing more of an interesting and immediate question that needs to be resolved, which is, how is Anila going to deal with this? And it's a threat to Anila, and what does that mean for her, as well as the show and Dutch and Team Awesome Force? How is that going to change where we were going? Because it felt like it was heading towards Anila versus Dutch in the quad.
But now things have broadened out in scope yet again.
I have hated Dutch for so long it blinded me. But I figured out a way to destroy her. And the lady too. Two bitches, one stone.
what is Anila willing to give up is what this episode explores. At the beginning of this season, she has nothing to lose. She's going to be this amoral, victorious, militant scientist lady.
Whatever the cost.
Whatever the cost. And there will be no cost for her because she's immortal and better than all of us. And she's like this evil princess. But now, even beyond the threat of the lady and of Dutch, what is she able to lose? And the answer is...
Kendry. Delsea Kendry. She is attached to her. She cares about her in a way that she didn't think that she could. Not that she hasn't before or she hasn't in a long time. She didn't think that she could.
It's an interesting move. It's a clear move, but it is an interesting move to see this character who, when we were first presented her at the end of last season and then the beginning of this season as this campy, over-the-top villainess, Hannah John-Kamen's having a blast, doing a silly voice, drinking the goo, all of that stuff.
Hamming it up.
And how do you humanize that? How do you bring that down? How do you humble this character? And they do it with a relationship, an actual romantic relationship.
Because it is the two villains and we know Kendry the way that we do. It doesn't feel as dull as, oh, the villain gets a girlfriend and now they're humanized. Because they're still both evil.
Yeah.
And they delight and revel in it. But it also does humanize them. Like, it doesn't make them good people.
But
it does humanize them. And that is so much more interesting.
Because they have some connection, whether you want to say it's love or something else. They have a connection that goes beyond their desire for power, their desire for vengeance. When Delsea is in danger, Anila is willing to push past all of these boundaries that she was unable to before because she cares that much. And this was someone who's apparently just an unfeeling, insane monster. And even before this, we've got the feeling like Anila has feelings. Anila cares. Anila has like...
But she's unstable.
She's unstable,
it's uncontrollable. It's a liability.
She's unable to form genuine connections, is what we've been told by Klein, by Gander. And somehow, in some way, Delsea manages it. And she even says it to Gander in this episode. You keep underestimating me. And I think that also applies to Anila. People keep underestimating Anila. And it's awesome stuff. Like, a lot of this episode is Anila just in a different room yelling about where's Kendry, but it's super compelling. Because you are invested in that dynamic. You want to see that dynamic.
It also, like, the writing for them, like, manages to strike that balance of biding time but not feeling like it's wasting your time. Because it's just like, well, why doesn't she just go into the green? Why doesn't she immediately know? Why can't she find Kendry? There's reasons for that delay the gratification of the reunification. And then the placement of it makes it, again, more interesting because it's not just her getting to Anila that's the point of that plot. It's them being reunited and then what they decide to do to Gander. The punishment for him.
You get to be a slave now, buddy. Enjoy that life. Can't wait
And
to make him do
fact
so
that
many things.
He didn't consider.
No, he's too arrogant. He's above it all.
He didn't see it coming.
He thought they would just kill him and that would be good enough. But no, they have to bring him down. They have to humiliate him even more. And Anila goes on a journey. She changes. And so when she's brought back to Kendry and they meet up, both of them have changed. But both of them have changed in ways that please one another because
It brings them closer together.
Dulcea has this weird baby thing going on, and obviously Anila, as the scientist, is fascinated by this. It's her theory
it's-
come to life.
Yeah, it's based on her research. So it's her baby in a way.
And in terms of having a relationship, this is a new step in a relationship. Usually it's one you have later, but
They're not a typical romance.
also then Anila has changed. You know, Kendry sees her and Anila is more emotional, more vulnerable, more open.
Which is kind of what Klein was hoping for when he tried to get Anila to detox from the green.
And she's having to detox from the green because the lady wants her to connect to the green so she can read her memories. That way we can find Kendry. We can find Dulcea. The lady can find her. And we mentioned Gander. He gets turned into a slave. He's been one of the villains of this season, and we've both enjoyed him very much. And he is just getting the shit kicked out of him for the entire episode, but he's such a snide piece of shit that he's such a piece of...
He's loving it.
Oh, he's loving it because he thinks he's won.
It's just like, yeah, you have me in chains, but I'm still free.
I work for the lady who is more powerful and smarter and better than you. I'm working for the superior, you're the lesser. So
yeah, which
I'm a true Hullen.
is kind of like Bryn sees it differently, which is why she sides with Anila.
Anila, yeah, because she's afraid of Anila more than the lady. So let's talk about the lady, Rachel. This has been a name that was brought up in the season 2 premiere. At least that's when we first really caught it.
It's been around. It's been floating around.
And we haven't talked too much about the lady on the podcast because it's just been a thing that's floated around. But this episode provides a lot to say and a lot to think about.
Yeah. It seems like the lady has existed before Anila. And it's just like, is the green some sort of prison? Well, I say that like you can't answer me. Well, you could, but you won't.
They say that she got trapped in there.
Yeah, so it makes it sound like it was an accident. But, like, you know, you can get trapped in things by accident or somebody else can trap you.
She controls the ships, not Anila.
And
Anila has to take over the green to do that.
Fights for her ship.
She controls plasma directly. That's also different because we know, like, when...
Anila needs a conduit, and
yes.
So does everybody else.
But also, like, when Anila and Klein have made their Hullens from their green, it's not like they directly control them in that way that the lady is demonstrated to be able to.
No, that is different. And it feels good that I don't feel compelled to have answers for this, because it reminds me that I trust the show to deliver on those answers, and for it to be at the right time that I find out that information.
Who was he working for, Anila? If not you, then we call her the lady. She lives in the green.
Like, the way you can go inside it?
Yes, but she's stuck there. And she wants out. Out.
The Hullen being able to communicate with one another is exploitable, we find out in this episode. And that is the
I forgot
kicker.
that was this episode.
Yeah, that's the kickoff for the Heist Baby.
That's why they need the thing, but I got lost along the way because I was so much more interested in the heist itself than why they were doing it.
Which is, is that the way it's supposed to be? Is that a better way? We're so caught up in this serialized ongoing plot in an episode like this in which they say what we need to test our theory that the Hullen are weak to is this MacGuffin. Let's do a heist about it. That you kind of forgot the overarching narrative point of it, and it just became like it's an episode where they're doing a heist and they fuck up and things go tits up and
Which
so
is
on.
What Dutch wants of Davin and Johnny, in a way. Like, she wants them to be focused in on the problem. We're going back to this. And then they actually kind of do more than the sort of, hey, do you want to do season 1 plots? Fuck no, that's not going to work anymore. Stuff that they were doing earlier.
You know, they have this weapon that they have to go after. It's like a sonic attack that they have to use against the Hullen because of this connective way of communicating. There's a frequency that their technology and they work off of, which makes sense. Like, that lines up with what we've been given.
It also feels like a liability, but it's because it's biology. They can't just alternate the frequency. If it was technology, they would more easily be able to diversify that.
And you were just talking a moment ago about how this episode has a more keen awareness of doing a season 1 plot, not just lamenting that we've moved on from those days like in the earlier parts of this season. But is this actually done that well? Because what they do here is say the characters legitimately are like, we should do an old-fashioned Killjobs plot because we won't be able to do them again after this. Like, things are different. Things will forever change here on out. And Dutch is playing up the most giddy, over-the-top aspects of herself to feel like we can be going back to where we used to be when things were simpler.
Yeah. But they don't buy it in the show, and we don't buy it as the audience either.
But then they do fall into it. They fall into it and start to have
'Cause
a
they
good time
don't-
doing their old
Yeah.
old stories again.
They can't fight it when they're in it. It's just like, well, we got to do it. But when they're like before and after, they do stop to interrogate that. Dutch doesn't just get to pretend like everything's fine and nobody notices and nobody cares. But that's bullshit. But we do need to do this anyway.
Do you miss this previous version of the show that it's harkening back to?
No, because it's evolved beyond that. And that's a good thing. I like the way that they're reincorporating this more than the haha no that we kept on getting at the start of this season. But it does also feel like this wouldn't be as satisfying if we didn't have that.
I always wonder with an episode that does this because of the meta commentary that they're making, that they are saying what you're saying right there, that, you know, we recognize what we used to be, but the show has changed, and you, the audience, have to accept that we have moved beyond those. But also, I think sometimes with shows like this, and I don't say this episode is doing this, but I do think sometimes with shows like this, there's almost like a mandatory nature to have these here because that was the premise of the show they sold you on. What they sold you on was a ragtag group of bounty hunters doing like quick and easy dirty jobs, little heists and undercover missions, and Dutch is going to wear a sexy outfit and going to kick people here, and Davin's going to be the muscle and Johnny's going to be the brains. And they've shaken up that formula so much, and now it's a different show. And it is a tough thing. Like, how much do you change a show from what it originally was and can still say it's the same thing? And how much do you have to stay to that formula?
Yeah.
To keep it to be...
Killjoys never promised to stay on formula. It always had something different going on. From the very beginning, from the pilot, we had the box. The box came in and set things off and set things up. Dutch doesn't get to just be a killjoy anymore. Davin doesn't just get to be a soldier anymore. Johnny doesn't want to just be a killjoy anymore. That has evolved. But the promise of those things changing has been there from the very beginning.
That's the promise of the actual show, is that these things will change. That the status quo that they found themselves in at the beginning would shake up, that things weren't going to remain, that the warrant won't be all. Right?
No, because that is something that they are so certain of. They are so committed to. So it's what is going to be able to shake them.
The warrant being not all, but also like in the first season, this wasn't their home. None of them were from here. They didn't give a shit. Like, they cared because they live here, but they're not from here. But that has changed. Now they are fighting for the Quad, for the J, for all of humanity because it's important. But why is it important for each one of them is different and does matter. And this episode goes through the beats of a previous Killjoy story. You have some fun hijinks, you have technobabble, you have stakes, you have the mission goes tits up and they have to save each other in the last minute. You have bad guys you got to kick in the head. All of that stuff is there. And all of that is competent. To give the writer credit where it's due, they know how to structure, they know how to pace an episode, because I didn't feel like this was so fast-paced of an episode. I thought it was just again, this is the stuff like the writer knows the structural elements of how to write an episode. They know the pacing of an episode. They know the themes. Like, the themes aren't the problem in this episode. Like, the themes all land, but it's just these characters, how they are done in this episode, and the way that the tone is handled is where things go off the rails. So, like, when we talk about, like, the writing, it's not like, oh, the characters made a questionable decision. That's not an issue that happens here. Like, no one acts out of character in terms of their of their actual actions. It's more the way that they speak is out of character, or it's a cranked up version of their character. So there's that. And then Jelko returns. The villain of season 2 reappears. He has a beard now, a huge scar on his face, longer
He's
hair.
Third wife.
Husband, Rachel, husband.
Oh, he gets called wife more than husband. He calls himself husband.
That's what he wants to be called.
Mm-hmm. He wants to assert that. No, so we go back to Borna.
In the wastelands, yeah.
In the wastelands. We have met before.
She can help us out with stealing these diamonds, perhaps.
Yeah, that's where we left Jelko. And he was just kind of abandoned.
Well, no, he was on Lucy, and Fancy set him free. Like the Holland version of Fancy.
I mean, like the show.
Yeah. Well, no, still, even like the show. Last time we knew he was on Lucy, because they brought him back from the wastelands. Like, you're with us. We've got you captive.
Yep.
You're going to pay for your crimes. And then off screen, he got released.
Yeah.
And so we've been left for a whole season wondering, well, what happened to Joko?
Mm-hmm. And he's now in love. It's unconventional, but he's happy.
Joko, if you wanted help escaping Borno, you could have just told us.
Escape? Why would I want to escape? I love Borna.
You do.
Of course. She's powerful and wily. Delicious curves.
The way she treats you.
Well, if you think that's bad, you've never seen a company year-end review.
And it feels weirdly satisfying to see him in this position because it makes sense and it doesn't make sense at the same time. Because, like, it makes sense that he would make the best of this situation that he has found himself in and that he would be of advantage to his wife.
He is the strategy husband.
Yes. It also makes sense that this is a punishment for this character. But it also makes sense that he enjoys the punishment.
Mm-hmm. He's a sadomasochist. He talks about love. He sees the love between Davin and Dutch, and he tells Davin to pursue it, to go after it. He gives words of wisdom because Jelko has lost everything that he held dear previously and has found his humanity. He's found humanity through love, connection, and through having lost. And he's trying to tell this to Davin, and Davin obviously doesn't want to hear it because of who's saying it, but he sees the value of it, and he sees that it's actually true for Jelko. Now, that's the thing, is all of that stuff I just said and the stuff you said is true for Jelko. Like, it isn't some kind of scheme. It isn't some kind of cope for him. Like, he genuinely is happy.
Yes. And that is more than he had when he was in Spring Hill.
Have you been satisfied with this character overall? Because he did drop off the face of the show until now. Like, he was the major antagonist. He was the bad guy of season 2. And at the end of season 2, off screen, he leaves. And there's the promise with that he would come back. Now here we are near the end of season 3, and he's back and he's gone through this journey off screen.
I don't mind it that much because it feels like, again, they are building up their army, but in a way that is the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Unlike the Fremen and the monks. But it's another strategic advantage, and it coming from an old enemy is interesting. It doesn't feel like a cop-out.
I have had major struggles with this ever since I watched it, and I was curious of how it would be on a rewatch factor. And then going through season 2, I was even stressing about it more because of how irredeemably evil he was in season 2. He wasn't just like some bad guy. He shot Hills in the head. Like, he killed a bad guy turned good guy. Or he killed an authority figure turned good guy. And he tortured characters and he did horrible things. He was like a sexual predator as well. Like, remember, he licked Potter's face and all of these things. Like, he was a menace and he was going to do all this stuff. And he was like the ultimate example of the fascist that we had seen in the show. So then to cut to a season later and the show has given him a little redemption and they're saying, like, love conquers all in a weird way. I had a big issue with it when I first saw this. I had a big issue with this reveal because of what he was previously. And I'm like, is this good enough? With Dulcea, we're seeing that happen on the screen. We're seeing her fall in love. Like, he has gone on the same journey Dulcea is going on, right? Where he was this fascist leader who was happy with what they were, being amoral, irredeemable, bad, because they believed it was good for them. Not even good for anyone else, good for them. But then they're humbled and brought down a peg, and they fall in love with an even more powerful woman. That's different because we see that with Dulcea, but Jelko...
We're on that journey with her, whereas we dropped Jelko off and now we're picking him back up.
But I also, in saying that, I don't mind that because we have had Dulcea's journey in this season. We can bring back a previous antagonist and say they've had this similar journey as well, but on a obviously smaller scale. And we can already intuit what the show is getting at with that because we've seen it. We've seen this journey. We didn't see it with Jelko specifically, but we've seen it with Dulcea. So we understand how this sort of thing can happen to the villains of this show. Because the villains in this show don't get their just desserts in the way that other villains in shows do. Like Klein, he died. He sacrificed himself in a not wholeheartedly noble sacrifice, but it was framed as a tragic element for Dutch. And then Dulcea, who's been nothing but a menace, she's on this journey. And now Jelko, who was nothing but a villain as well, now he gets to go on this journey. The villains all get happier endings than some of the heroes do in this. Like they get happier journeys. Isn't that? What do you think of that? We've had 3 antagonists in this show, and they've all gone from these people are monsters to now they've gone on some kind of recontextualizing of them.
I think that it's really important because a central part of Dutch's journey is I am a monster. And if these monsters can be redeemed, then so can I. And the show is illustrating how all of these people have aspects that they can come back from. That they aren't irredeemable. That they aren't just evil. And that gives hope to Dutch in a way, even though she doesn't know it, because we know it. And it's a challenge to her as well, because she sees herself in this light, and that casts a shadow on these other characters. And then the show is very deliberately shifting up things. So it's not just one way or another.
I also find that this highlights the central flaw of Klein. Klein is a man who, the more we see of him in these flashbacks and what we knew of him in the show, he never learned this lesson. He was so pragmatic and cold and tactical. But Jelko, Dulcea, these characters, Anila even, have learned similar lessons to what Dutch is learning, which is forming genuine bonds and connections, having love, having allyship, trusting in other people. This ties into the Hullen. The Hullen are a threat because they strip us of all of these things. They take all of this away. We're all slaves in the Hullen society. And Jelko being allowed to go from this mustachioed villain who represented all of the worst of what humanity offers. Not the Hullen, not the sci-fi concepts, but of just humanity. He was a very human villain. Even though he was over the top, he was a very human villain. To now see him in this light, I think it just, again, highlights and underlines what Dutch has learned and what Klein never learned.
Try that shit again, I'll kill you myself. But I'm glad you survived. You can ride up front with me.
Oh, yes. Watch your back, number one. Coming for you. And your 8-pack.
She has come to this realization that her and Anila are connected, that she is from Anila's green, and if you kill Anila, it will kill Dutch. And she realizes this. She's gotten over the initial trauma of her own existence and realizes that at the end of the day, to win this war, I will have to be the cost, no matter what. I will have to be the cost.
I don't get to survive this. And that
it's not fair, but it's how it has to be.
Currently treated as an absolute. There is no way for Anila to die without also killing Dutch. And, I might be sniffing a little bit of copium, but I feel like Klein would have had a plan for that.
I don't think so. I think he was going to expect Dutch to kill Anila and die in the process herself. He left the stuff in the safe house for Dutch to go kill Anila. And, in thinking if he knew that this would be the outcome, I don't think that he had a plan beyond it. I think this was his, final measure. I was like, okay, because he's that cold. And why does Dutch not go to Johnny about this? Is because Johnny wouldn't allow it. Johnny's too emotional. He's like you. He would get choked up at the end saying, no, that can't be the case. But she goes to Davin because he is able to think like this. He has to be the soldier.
Mm-hmm. She needed a general. And Davin's it. And Davin has that ability that Johnny doesn't. And it feels like Dutch isn't sure that she has it herself.
Luke McFarlane, I think, demonstrates his best acting in the series in this moment because you see him process this information and is left stunned by it. And you can see that he wants to portray, Davin does, that thing that Dutch needs him to be, but he's also just too emotionally wrapped up in it. He just can't.
He cares about her too much.
He cares about her too much. And just that moment of just him sitting at the table and just kind of having a sigh out about it, I thought it was some of his best acting in the show.
It's heartbreaking because we had that moment of him with Jelko, which easily could have become this has spurred me on, I'm going to confess my feelings, fuck everything else, I want you kind of thing. But we don't get that.
So much to take in with this episode because we're having this scene, this brilliantly written scene where the direction and the writing are in unison. They're working so well together. So much has been communicated by what's not being said aloud. There's trust in the audience.
And the history that the audience has with these characters and the history that they have with each other.
To remember that it's in the rest of this episode where Neela says, I wore your guts for garters, literally, and it didn't look as pretty as you would think it would be. That is the same episode as this. This is the same episode that has that beautiful line about the left Johnny being the left hand, the one closest to her heart, but it's also the one in which Dutch, oh my God, there's that moment where they're planning out the attack and she's acting like a kid and she's eating the jelly beans and the little candies that they have. This is the same episode. Hence, when we're here now at the point where it's what do you rate this episode? What do you give this on our binary system of yum being bad and yum yum being good? I have to give it a yum, but it feels bad to do that because there's so much heady material in here, but it cannot be stressed enough that the way the writer went about this is so at odds with itself that I can't, good reason, give it a positive rating.
No, because it's not good. It's a yum. but I'm annoyed with it for being a yum. Because it has so many things going for it. Unfortunately, they're just not going in the same direction.
Here's something to consider. A majority of this episode takes place in a quarry. And if you're a long-time listener of this podcast, you know that we...
But it makes sense that it's in a quarry.
Yeah, exactly. We didn't care.
We didn't care.
It looked good. They did explosions.
It's the curse of a quarry episode.
But yes, it's a quarry episode. If you listen to this podcast long enough, we hate when they set things in a cave and when they film in the fucking quarry because they're just such overused things in science fiction. And it's just so sad when you go, oh, they're back in the fucking quarry again. But this episode was so well done in terms of the quarry stuff that we didn't have an issue with it at all. It was actually well done use of the quarry. That's how this episode gets some stuff so right for us. But then there's so much wrong with it. But that's enough there. How about we find out the name of the next episode, Rachel, and then you can tell us what you think will be happening in it.
Give it to me.
So, the penultimate episode of season 3.
Is it going to be by Michelle?
Possibly. Keep an eye out. I at least hope she does the finale. It could be Adam Barkin. Remember, he's a big name too. The penultimate episode is called Reckoning Ball. A play on Miley Cyrus's Wrecking Ball. And it's reckoning.
Of a wrecking ball was before Miley Cyrus did
but
that.
This
song.
no, but this is directly what it's referencing. I just want you to know that. Like, it is directly referencing the song.
Okay.
That's a trivia fact, and it's just one of those things. Like how Heist Baby is obviously referencing Ice Baby.
Yeah.
So Reckoning Ball, penultimate episode. What do you think will be happening? This episode doesn't give you a lot to kind of leap off of, other than Dutch is willing to die for the cause.
Dulce is going to go into labor.
She is heavily pregnant.
I don't know if they're going to leave that for next season or just next episode, maybe, or
they don't know what
the
it
finale.
is.
Don't know. But that is a thing that's in this episode. I think we are going to get a very crude and uncomfortable scene with Gander, Anila, and Dulcea. Like, I think that
him as a slave.
Yeah, I think there's going to be some creepy shit with that. Probably sexual stuff involved.
Do you think they'll test out the weapon that they got at the end of this? The sonic attack?
Yeah, probably.
But will it work?
Probably. I think it won't work in the way that they want it to or expect it to.
What do you think happened to Dutch and the Remnant? Because that still wasn't fully answered in this.
No.
She now has changed into this giddy mood. Now, was that just because she's accepted that she's basically dead?
Yeah.
They played with that a bit in this episode of like, was that it or is there more?
I think there's going to be more, but I haven't stopped to consider what it would be because they're dealing with her hiding what the audience already knows that she knows.
She told Zeph. Zeph was thrilled, and Zeph figured out that Dutch is Anila's mirror, opposite. Like her chirals go in the opposite directions. That was neat. That was a neat piece of lore and detail. I like that.
The bio nerd having a moment.
And that was a great piece of direction because they were standing in front of the Remnant and there's the mirrored shot happening there. Mm-hmm. Like, it was really well, and it wasn't too pronounced. Mm-mm. It was done very well for what they're doing there. It was strange to me. It was strange to me that they could move the safe house from...
Yeah, that was just like, oh, okay, that just happened.
It's like an interdimensional transporty weird thing, but you can just grab it?
Yeah, but... Dutch just wanted to destroy it? Like,
I mean,
would that even work?
She could destroy it. She can touch it. But that is all your guesses. What do you think's Dulcea's child thing all about? Because even Anila said, we don't know what it is.
No idea.
No idea? No guesses?
Nope.
Do you think it will come out as a little creature?
Yeah. I think
Rachel's-
it's going to be covered in green goo.
I hope so. Do you think it'll be like a green goop placenta that comes out?
I hope we get one of, like, they do like using the green filter over things, but something really tickles me about the idea of having like that fetus shot of like inside the womb.
Oh, yeah, but it's all green in there.
Yeah, but
I thought you were going to say a POV of the baby being born. They do that. I mean, you've seen those in many movies and shows. They could do that in this show, but it's like, but it sees Anila's face, looking all like evil scientist. But that is it. Reckoning Ball. We'll have to wait and see what happens next time on Killjoys. But that's it from us here on Yum Yum Podcast. If you've enjoyed what we've said here today, or you want to hear more of our stuff, we have so much happening on our Patreon. Yum Yum Podcast on Patreon. You get these episodes early and our reactions in full, as well as so many other discussions. We've been watching Pride and Prejudice recently, both the miniseries and the movie, so make sure to check that out. We've also been discussing here on the main feed as well, Star Trek Starfleet Academy with our friend Bartek, who is a first-timer to Star Trek, so we threw him in to the deep end with Starfleet Academy. So if that tickles your fancy, make sure to head on over and check that out. You can find us on all of those social medias under Yum Yum Pod or Yum Yum Podcast. Rate, review, all of the things that you hear at the end of our episodes. As always stated, here you go. You can email us. Everything's in the description. But something to ponder, Rachel.
Yes, Ryan.
Something to ponder. It's been a lot of pondering, okay? Something to ponder. So if Gander, he can regenerate. He has all of these abilities. She was drowning him all of the time.
Yeah.
Right. She was drowning him all the time.
That was one of the things that she did.
Which was very funny. That it didn't faze him at all. Like, he's
Nope.
like, all right, I'm a wet boy. So what are you going to do about that? But he's now been turned into a slave.
Yes.
And he's incapable. Now, something to ponder, and this is a genuine question. Do you think he will retain, like, any of his memories of life before and be trapped in this weird space, or is he going to be like a blank slate
No, I think he's going to know.
but be unable to do anything about it?
Yep.
What do you think, honestly, Gander is going to be like and look like when we see him next?
I think he is going to be more what he was like when we first saw him with Anila. That sniveling, oh yes, I'll kiss your ass, man.
But genuine this time.
Mm-hmm.